Let me thank some people for their comments on my last videos. Weston Reborn Crew, she asked me on this tag if I put a hole at the top, and I decided not to because once the feather is in there, I thought if I put a hole there and then some ribbon, it would distract from the feather. So I left that one just like that. Make sure you check out Jez over at Nigeza Creates. She has a YouTube channel. Elizabeth, my good friend who lives here in Arizona during the winter months. Hi, Libby. And then Kate from the Journal Nest. She has a YouTube channel and she lives in Australia. So thank you so much for your lovely comments. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Quick Tip Thursday, and this is episode number 16. Now, how many of you have huge ledger pages like these? Like, look at this one. This one, 12, probably 17 inches by 11 inches. They're almost too big to go into journals. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do. One is I cut them down to the US letter size, which is 11 by 8.5. And then I can use these scraps for collaging or for pockets. So I have this one here. I believe I had seen a date, 1894. This is one of my Italian ones, and that's how big it is. And I trimmed it down again to the same size, 11 by 8.5. Now this one is pretty boring to me, although it's 1910, but I mean, it's okay. But again, let's see what we can do with it. There is some nice journaling spot here. So this is how big it was originally, and I cut it down. Again, we've got lots and lots of good scraps. This was that original one that I told you about that was from 1894, something like that. Anyway, that's beautiful, thick paper. I also have some Italian book page that I cut back, that I cut down. And this was the original size. I mean, it would be nice for a tall document style journal, but let's see what else we can do with it. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a beautiful kind of a very light moss green ledger. It's from the United States, but again, I just think it's beautiful paper. So I cut that down to 8.5 by 11. And then I had recently bought a ledger that was, it was like 344 pages. Half of it was filled out and half of it was not. It was taxes for, I can't even remember what. Oh, Iowa, Howard County, 1887. But isn't that beautiful? So I cut a couple of those pages down. And these are just plain ones here. But I'm also going to cut one so that this shows. And then again, this is a plain of just my Italian ledger that is nothing written on it. Even here, it does have a little bit of Italian there, but I'm going to show you kind of how to jazz this page up too. So let me cut these down and I'll be right back with you guys. Let's start out with this pale green paper. And if I was going to put that in a tall document style journal, it would be okay. I mean, but let's add a little bit more interest to it. Bring in a stencil and whatever color you want to use. I'm just going to use a little bit of my vintage photo. And let me show you the difference of just a little bit of stenciling does to it. So I'm just going to kind of bring it up like that. And I'm just going to go ever so slightly over the image. Now this is a Stampin' Up stencil. I pick it up and I take a little look to see if you can actually see it. You don't want it so much that somebody wouldn't want to journal on it, but you want enough that you can see it. And see, you can see that. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more and do some more. You want to make sure that you avoid the edge because you don't want a straight line there for it to look kind of funny. So let's just see what this looks like. Okay, now look at the difference between this side and this side. Isn't that remarkable? What a difference, and you can still journal on it. I went ahead and did both sides, so that would look absolutely stunning in a document style journal. Let's grab another ledger page that is very plain. It will be a great place to journal on, but let's see if we can add a little pizzazz to it. So what I'm going to do is take some low tack sticky tape. Now I want to keep this side for journaling, so I'm not going to stencil on that side. At least I don't think so, but let me tack this down because I don't want it to move. The stencil I'm using is quite large, and so it's going to take a little bit of work to get it all in there. So I want the majority of the rows. I'm going to bring it up there into that corner and then come on down. So once again, I'm going to take some low tack tape and tape the stencil itself down to my desk. And then I have two Stampin' Up colors. One is called Old Olive and the other one is Rococo Rose. So I'm going to start out with the rose color, and I'm just going to put ever so small amount on my blending brush. Sorry, I don't mean to have it off camera, but I'm just going to come in very lightly on the rose part. And I can see a little bit of color there. And then there's just a tiny bit over here. And then there is some little, I'm not sure if that's a leaf or not, but I'm going to take it as part of the rose. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color there. I think it goes over into here. If it's not exact, it's not a big deal. Okay, that's enough. And then now I'm going to bring in my green color, which is Old Olive, and do the leaves. And I can see there's a little bit of a rose up here too. So I need to come in with a little bit more of that pink. There we go. And there's a bud down here. I keep seeing more little images, but I think that's good. So let's bring in our green color. It may already have some green on the blending brush, but I'm just going to go slightly here on the leaf, down here a little bit. It extends over here. And then up into here. I think this is still some of the pink over here, so I'm going to come in over here. Let me just lift it up and see if I see any there. Oh yeah, there's a little bit. That's good. I think I want a tiny little bit of green up here. There's a little bit of the leaf there. I'm going to go into there. And I think that's about it. It's ever so faint. So let's just pull off the stencil and see what it looks like. See how well we did. Save that purple tape. You can use it again. And look at the difference. Look at the difference. Isn't that just stunning? So let me bring in the plain paper before and the after so you can see the difference. This is the before and that's the after. What a difference. Incredible. So let's set this aside and let's do something with this page. Again, with a little bit of a stencil, and I'm going to turn it this way so that I can see the lettering. Let's say we were going to use this for a tall document style journal. Just want to make sure if I got my bigger page. So let's just tape this down. And I'm going to go in again with the brown. And we're just going to put a little bit there along the edge of this ledger page. Once again, coming in with my vintage photo. And this is some French script. And we'll see if I want to do it on the other side over here, or do I want to instead put like some washi tape down there or something else. But you just want it faint. Okay, let's just see what that looks like now. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing fantastic. My Miss Little Fiona's been such a good little girl. See, just so slight, very slight. So I think what I'm going to do is also come down here on this side, but I'm going to move that over a little bit so it's not exactly the same writing as there. Let's see, did I get it? Yeah, she's been very good. I'm still having her sleep in her little kennel at night, and she has stopped the whining. I think she realizes that now this is the new norm. They are so smart. They're just, oh, you guys have heard me say this before. She brings me so much joy. You know, I'm here at the house by myself. My son's at work, and so she keeps me company while I craft. She's always right underneath my desk or my feet. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, yes, that came out very nice. So you could either have it in a journal where the writing is, you know, this way, or you could put it in a journal that way. So very subtle, but the difference between that and this, I feel, is significant. The next thing I want to show you is printing digitals on ledger paper. Now, this digital is printed on my Hammermill paper. Here it is printed on a piece of ledger. This is the original, what it looks like, and that is what it looks like after I print on it. Here's another one, the original, and it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But this is it printed on ledger paper, and it is the Italian ledger. And you can see there's one word in there and some of the lines. Here's an original one. Here is it printed on this ledger. This was the ledger from 1893. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at whatever image you're printing and think about the image itself and as it lays on the paper. Let me see if I can bring in an example here. Okay, here was one of the ones. So I saw the lady and I thought, okay, I've got my wording here. I want to make sure that there's a good imprint of her. This one, it didn't matter as much because this was just a very faint image, I think is of an embroidery pattern. So this was just a solid image. This one here, I looked at the digital image and I thought the majority of the writing is in the center, and on this ledger page, there wasn't anything there. There was just a little bit on the outside. So I print it first, or even looking at it your computer. I stumbled over those words. As you look in the computer, think about where the ledger page is going to print. Like I said, this came out perfect. We've got a little bit of floral over here with some numbers. There is the castle or the chateau over on the corners, and then a little bit of writing there. And again, that was with my Italian ledger. And by the way, I do have ledger packs in my Etsy store. On a regular digital, I did borderless on this one. And because this paper, remember, was just the plain green, remember that's how the full page looked, I thought that would look really nice as a digital. And look at the difference in the color. This is really very, even more antique looking than this one, with just that little bit of that tone of green. This one, again, I looked at the image, and on my ledger page, I thought to myself, okay, this was printed up at the top. That's the original ledger and what it looked like. And so I knew this page didn't have anything really up here. So that wording would go beautiful up there. There wasn't anything here. So I thought the image of the lady would go beautifully there. And the floral images went perfectly up in the corner. And the number of that ledger page, let's see, here would be here on this. That's how I cut it. So I left that number there in that top corner of this ledger. Beautiful, isn't it? Now this is the image. This was the paper I used, and it's Italian rag paper. Now, it did get caught in my printer and wrinkled, but what I ended up doing was just trim off the edge and run it through the printer again. It left a little bit of dark from the black ink here, but I still think that's okay. I think it looks great. So that is that one. And then again, here are the stenciled ones. Now, I do want to show you some of these techniques in the journal that I'm working on now. This is my French tall journal. Here's where I did a little bit of the stenciling on that plain paper. Here I did a little bit on the background of this page. I sewed a little yo-yo there. Here is where oops, okay, that is fragile. So, you know, we got to pull in some of our faux Scotch tape and put that on there. So I will do that, but that's where I stenciled that floral. And then on this one is that rose printed on some ledger page. And I do want to show you the other side. This was where I added different fabrics that to me looked a lot like France. I put them in here on this ledger page, and even the color scheme, then folded it up, and that's a little tuck in this pocket, and it looks like I need to do a little bit of embellishing there. So anyway, that is my quick tip Thursday. Like I said, I have packs of ledgers in my Etsy store. Go over there and check them out. The other thing is, like I said, I will also link the purple tape. I've used it for years with my card making days. But anyway, I hope this gives you a nice tip for using ledgers other than plain. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. Thanks and bye-bye.